Okay, and we're live.
Welcome to the best agents and investors nationwide. Today is Thursday, February 22nd, 2024, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 468. Once again, Bruce, I really don't have anything to start with. You might want to give everybody a heads up that we have that contest to name our newsletter. We can talk about that this week, but I don't have any overriding topic for the
Okay.
agenda. What have you got?
Well, I will go ahead and admit that I don't know enough about the contest, so I'm going to kick that back to you or Tim or Alyssa to talk about the contest.
Okay.
I'll tell you what I have is I am going to Thailand for a few weeks, so my brain is about 12 hours ahead of myself right now. Um, this is something that's been a lifetime dream of mine, and hopefully I can get some tips from some of our wonderful listeners today, if those that have already been. Now, in reality, I'll tell you one of the things that I've been working on personally is working on content, guys. So you've got leads coming in. I'd imagine that the majority of folks here are all the lead subscribers getting probate leads. If you're not, go to alltheleads.com. Check out your county's county pricing for probate leads, pre-probate leads, divorce leads. If you're already in the probate space, uh, I really want to drive home the point that your assets work for you while you sleep. Okay. It's very, very important that everyone here have mailers, have websites, have calls going out. You want to follow the basic steps, but you also need to recognize that when somebody files probate, they don't always go rush out and hire a real estate agent right away or call the first investor that sends them a postcard right away. Okay. A lot of times they're dealing with things. They get your letters, they get your call. They may even hold you at arm's length on the phone, and then they go look you up and they start doing some research and they start figuring out who you are and what you do. And they find your probate credibility website, or they find that attorney interview that you've done. These are assets, and assets are designed to sell for you while you sleep. You're sleeping at night and somebody's browsing your website. Somebody's finding that blog that you wrote, which, by the way, you can use ChatGPT now to help write. So there's no excuse. They find that attorney interview that you did, or they find an interview with an estate sale company that you did. These are assets that you should be working on every single month or every single week, depending on your schedule, to slowly build into and fold into your business so that they can work for you while you're busy doing other things. Because we don't all have 24 hours a day to hunt down and call the prospects that we have. We don't have all the time in the world to go knock on everyone's door to find their social media handles. But we do have things that we can do, like putting letters in front of them, talking to attorneys and making calls or texts and things like that. If somebody doesn't respond right away, it doesn't mean that they're not interested. If they seem to be ignoring you for months, it doesn't mean that they're not interested. It doesn't mean that they're not going to sell a house. We know that about half of everyone who inherits a house is going to sell. We know these things, but they don't all rush to call you back right away just because they're going to sell a house in 4 months. They may need to go check you out. And I've got a really classic story that happened to me back a couple of years ago. I called someone. He told me, nope, not interested in selling. And he hangs up on me. And about 15 minutes later, my phone rings and the guy had called me back. And he said, I lied to you. I have to admit, I am selling. I have 4 rental properties and my primary residence, and I have a house in Colorado and a house here. And he started rattling off all these real estate assets that he had that he wanted to sell. It was time. He's like, I'm an empty nester now. It's time to go ahead and downsize. I'm tired of managing these properties. I need to sell these. But when you called me, I didn't know who you were. And it just took me a minute to find out that you were credible. And he said, you've got a really good LinkedIn profile. And I found some of your videos and blogs, and I like what I see. You want to talk about selling the house. If I had not had those assets out there working for me after my 15 or 20-second call that I got hung up on, I would not have received that business. So I want you guys little by little working on assets. Little by little. The assets that it starts with are mailing campaigns. That's the easiest asset that you could possibly build. You could go out and write some letters, put a few postcards together, put it on autopilot, and let it go out to your probate leads. Another really easy asset would be like a credibility website in the probate space or the divorce space or the first time home buyer space or whatever niche you're focused on. Probably ought to have some kind of credibility site for people to find. Another easy and free asset is LinkedIn. If you don't have a killer LinkedIn profile, you're missing out. You need a good LinkedIn profile. If you have a credibility site, and it's specifically if it's built through WordPress, you should be writing some blogs. It's amazing. Today I was in the car, I was going to an appointment, and I grabbed Slack on my phone. And don't you guys don't judge me. I was voice dictating while driving, but I was sending blog topics to my assistant while I drove. And I said, I need a blog. I need it to be 2,500 to 3,000 words. Okay, and it's going to be on the 10 things. Let's see what I don't even have my phone with me. It's going to be on the 10 things an agent needs to know if they want to work the probate space. And I hit the 10 points and I said, right between 2 and 500 words under each one of these points. But here are the points. Okay. And you feed that to ChatGPT if you want. If those of you that like writing, you probably don't want to feed it to ChatGPT, but you might feed that into ChatGPT and you get a 200-word summary on each one of those points. And guess what? If you have 10 points, you've got 2,000 words, and a 2,000-word blog tied to your website. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable value to your website. Also, unbelievable value to Google. If somebody goes and looks up 10 ways to sell your house, a house that you've inherited, you're going to show up really high. So blogs, other assets are videos. You could be recording videos. Same video that you just wrote a blog on. Okay. Interviewing attorneys, interviewing your team members, estate sale companies, landscapers. All of these things are assets that you can put online that work while you sleep. And for the person that shuts you down on the phone or ignores your first four letters, guess what? They may be secretly shopping you on the back end, just looking at you, just finding that you're more and more and more credible. And when they're ready, which takes a lot of people several months, when they're ready, who do you think they're going to go to? Are they going to go to the person that has assets online and they've been able to review you, or are they going to go to the person that they got a voicemail from one time 2 months ago? They're going to go to you because you've made yourself credible with the assets and the content that you're putting out there. Okay. And there's plenty of other pieces of assets that you can build into your business, but I'm just going to encourage you guys to work on assets that work for you and your business and help generate leads and convert leads into prospects while you sleep or while you do other important things in your business. I like to time block time every single week for some asset creation. All right. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I went on a little bit of a
It,
rabbit trail there.
it made sense to TJ. It looks like he's got a comment.
Yeah, let's go with TJ. What's happening? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say that I'm 100% on board with that. What I started doing is creating a video. Well, I'll use ChatGPT. It's one of my best friends, absolutely.
Mhm.
So I'll write in there like, give me some video ideas for working in the probate space, or I'm paraphrasing, but something like that. And it
Mhm.
just spits out ideas, and then I'll ask it to write a video script for me. And then I take that, I put it into a teleprompter app in my phone
Mhm.
and just spit out the script. Then I take the transcript. Sounds like a lot of steps, but it goes pretty quick. The transcript from the video that's on my YouTube channel, and I put that into Chat GPT, and I say write a 400-word blog post.
Yeah.
And then so I have 2 blog posts on my website now for the probate space. So it's just so it's really, really simple to do if you aren't doing it. Like I highly recommend. It's like one of the easiest things. Like Chat GPT is like just taking hours and giving it back to you for
Right?
sure. So I
Yep,
just wanted to say that. I do have a couple questions, but if you
for sure.
or like
Yeah, go for it.
just digging into phone calls. So I haven't been leaving messages. So I'm wondering if that's if I am going to leave a message, I feel like I should be leaving messages at least the first couple times I call. Like what's a good message to leave? Because I don't want to ramble on about my being
Hmm.
a concierge and all the services that I can connect them with. Like, so
Hmm.
what's the best like quick brief message that gets people to respond?
Yeah, for sure. So for me, I kind of stack messages together. I start with one general type of message, and then I will change it on the next, change it on the next, change it on the next, recognizing that somebody not calling me back um, still doesn't mean that they're not interested or that they're not going to need it. It just means that at that time, that message wasn't appealing. However, I'm going to change it a little bit each time that I call. So the very first message that I leave, and for me, this is normally on my second call. So my first call is typically no message. My second call is normally a message, and it's going to be relatively simple. Hey, my name's Bruce Hill. I don't think that we know each other. This is about the estate of John Doe. Could you call me at 919 da 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 da? Okay.
Okay.
Short, sweet, to the point, what it's about the estate. A week later, they haven't called you back. Gonna call again. Hey, my name's Bruce Hill. Listen, I gave you a call last week. It was about the estate of John Doe. It's important that I try to get you, and you might not be the right person that's involved with that estate, but I'm looking for the administrator for the estate. Could you call me back? So it's gonna be kind of the same type of thing. No details of what it's about. They don't call me back. A couple of weeks later. So each time I go a little bit further between calls. So I just try to get it a little bit further apart each time. At this point, I'm gonna say, hey, I know you're probably super busy. I'd left you a couple of messages a few weeks ago. I help families going through probate. I kind of have kind of like a concierge service. So I talk to them the same way that I would talk to someone face to face. So I'll go, I kind of have, it's almost like a concierge service. It helps navigate and coordinate the probate process. It picks up a lot of times where lawyers leave off. Now, if you don't have a lawyer, I have lawyers that I could connect you with. But if you do already have a lawyer, I pick up around a lot of the real estate needs. So maintenance, repairs, clean outs, estate sales. If you have to sell a house, I help with those too. And I go into detail, but I still keep it short. I don't know how long I just took to give that, but I'm going to guess I took about 35 seconds or so
Mhm.
to unpack that. It's not too long, but they get a really, really good overview of what it is that I was calling about. So my first two that are somewhat generic didn't do the trick. So now I'm gonna expand on it a little bit and let them know what it's about. Next time I call, I might not leave a message. I might leave a text after they haven't answered on the next call. Okay. Next time I call, and by this point, I'm usually a month apart. Next time I call, I might skip a message. Then I might leave another detailed message. Then I might leave a message a month later that says, look, I feel like I'm being super annoying. If I'm annoying and you absolutely don't ever need any help with the probate process, can you call me back? They don't. The next time I call, I go, hey, this is about the house at 123 Main Street. Are you going to sell it? Okay.
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
we're changing things up all the time because we don't know what that that causes them to call back. We have no idea what their time frame and their needs are. So we
Mhm.
want to drop a little bit different bait in the water each time.
Yeah, that helps. That helps because I'm tempted to leave all of the message on the like, leave a minute and a half long message on the first
Hmm.
call. But I
Hmm.
know that it's not efficient, number one, and it's not going to really be helpful. So
Right.
that works. That I appreciate it. Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Any other questions?
Yeah, one quick one. What now calling I haven't been doing the Property Plus So calling and getting a hold of somebody, but they've already listed with another agent. Now I'm bordering on, ethics and things like that. So like, how do you handle that? You say, oh, okay, great. Thank you. Disregard and hang up. I just
Oh
don't,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of like, anxiety is the fear of a made up future. So I'm kind of like making this
Mhm.
future up. Like, I just don't want to cross any lines by reaching out to sellers who are already listed. They already have a listing agreement with another agent.
Yeah. So this is where I have an agent already. Okay, great. You're already on the market. Yeah. Oh, perfect. I'm not gonna step on your agent's toes in your relationship. Um, I might have a buyer for the property. I'll go through them. Could you tell me quickly about the property? Okay. So make sure you draw that line. I am not gonna step on your agent's toes. I'm not gonna butt into your relationship, but I might have a buyer. Could you tell me quickly just so I can see? Okay. The reason that I do that is because they might express discontent
Mhm.
and they might bring it up that they want to interview agents. I am never going to put those words in their mouth ever, ever, ever. But
Right.
if they go, my agent's garbage and I want to interview someone else, I'd like to switch agents. You now have an open path to have that conversation. So I'm not asking them how the relationship's going. I'm assuming that it's good.
Mhm.
But I am asking them to briefly tell me about the house, very, very briefly. Of course, I can go look it up online, but it's just giving them that little chance to tell me if they're not content. But I'm not asking if they're happy with the agent. That I'm
Yeah.
just assuming that they are. Okay. All right. And
Gotcha.
there's going
Yeah.
to be some people on here that get really squeamish with that. Okay. I know. Um, and I've had a lot of agents that have told me over the years that they don't want to hear. Like if somebody calls and says, "Hey, I'm in a listing agreement with another agent and I'm not happy with them. I'd like to talk to you about your services." There's a lot of agents that have told me, I don't touch that with a 10-foot pole." I do because they
Yeah.
brought it up to me.
Mhm.
And I'm ethically and legally, I'm in the clear to have that conversation now.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. Agents are very territorial, so I just
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
make
Yep.
sure. I
I've
appreciate
had
it.
agents that have called me. I've sent a letter into a neighborhood and I've had an agent call me and say, "That's my neighborhood. You can't
Oh,
prospect it."
well, that's
Um, and
ridiculous.
uh, I I kind of go out of my way to prospect that neighborhood
Yeah,
at that point.
I hear you.
Not up until then. Not up until then. I respect people's territories until they tell me it's theirs exclusively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Right.
I'll let
Yeah.
others ask questions
Thanks,
now.
TJ. Appreciate it. Tim Yandel has his hand raised. Tim, how can we help you?
I figured I would just be polite for a change rather than just interrupting you. I was just going to say this. You're not ever, TJ, doing anything wrong by doing your job of talking to people about real estate, and you have nothing to fear from doing that. If you don't ever hear that, if you don't ever hear that when you're talking to a customer, you're not doing a very good job. And I mean that. You should be talking to people not just about probate, but as a prospector in general, you need to be hearing that occasionally and have that standard go-to in place to do that. Bruce gave you a great tool to do that, but you never need to be ashamed or concerned about at least making prospecting calls. That's not your issue. I mean, that's your job. You're out there. That's your business. That's your life. So you need not worry about that at all. You're doing the right thing. And that was the only thing I was going to get at is that that's not something you really need to be worried about. Just make sure that you've got a good answer when somebody says that. And, Bruce accomplished two very important things. One is to say you're going to work with them, and I'll move right quick into learning about the property and all of that. Only other thing I was going to add is that in addition to what their agent may be doing for them, if you've got a suite of services that you offer to people, then you still have the opportunity to represent your partners in that. If they have an estate sale company, if there's property to be sold, all those things, don't miss your opportunity to talk about those things with them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now where um where there is some less than gray area. Where it gets a little bit more is if you know that it's already listed.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. If you don't know, and when I farm or send letters out, I usually put a little disclosure on my letter that says if you're already listed and on the market with another agent, this is not a solicitation of your listing. So there's that disclosure that you guys need to make. And you hear that they have an agent. That does not mean that they're in a contractual agreement with the agent. So a lot of times, oh, I have an agent already. I go, great. Hey, tell me about the property. How long has it been on the market? Okay. And a lot of times they'll say, oh, it's not on the market yet, but I have an agent. Well, that's pretty much fair game for you to say, hey, would you be open to seeing if I could get you a better price or get you better terms or something like that?
Yeah, this house I just bought, that's the very first thing this person told me. Oh, I have an agent. Oh, fantastic. Oh, hey, let me ask you a question. What kind of condition is the property in? Oh, well, the pool's empty, this and that, but they're just going to list it and leave it on the market, and then maybe an investor will come buy it. I'm like, well, that's crazy. Like, why don't you work with me, who will either buy it myself or has a 200 cash investors who will buy it immediately, rather than being on the market for 2-3 months and then being stigmatized. And then eventually an investor is going to come and write you an extra low offer because you're just sitting there floundering like a fish out of water. You know, so you offer them a better solution. I mean, you know, this is a competitive business. And if you have a better solution and they're not listed, like Bruce said, then you should certainly offer it. They would take your business out of, they would take the food right out of your mouth if they could. So there's no shame in your game for offering a better solution. At the end of the day, just like commissions are variable, you know, agent choice is variable for the client.
Yep. Folks, we've got kind of a little bit of a quiet audience. TJ, thank you so much for raising your hand. I went on my monologue for a while, stood on my soapbox on content. I do want to hear from those of you. This is an open call. If you've never been here before, we want to hear your questions, your comments, your success stories, your challenges, things like that. Every now and then I say some things that people go, hey, I'm not so sure that I would do it that way. I'd like to hear from you guys. Okay. Just there. I love friendly banter when somebody else does something different. So if you do have a question, let me talk to you. If you're watching on live stream first, if you're on Facebook or YouTube live stream, chat your question in, we'll call on you. Or we won't call on you. We'll answer your question that you chatted. If you're here on Zoom, raise your hand, go down to the reactions button and click reactions. And then there's a hand raise bar. You can raise your hand. I see I'm already getting a bunch of hands up. I have a clap as well. Carmen, if you're applauding, great. That's going to go away. If you're raising your hand, make sure you click raise your hand and not clap. All right. I've had that
Bruce,
before.
There's at least 2 people that say they're having issues with Zoom. I suspect it may be given permission to record. You want to explain that again too? If you're trying to unmute yourself or raise your, or does that only happen when you raise your hand? You have to give that.
So one of the things that I noticed that happens is sometimes you will miss the little prompt that said either allow microphone access or this call is being recorded. You can't interact if you verbally if you haven't clicked that OK. So that occasionally happens sometimes. It'll be in the background behind 5 screens and you don't know it's there. So if you're having a hard time saying anything now, you can't unmute yourself until I ask you to unmute yourself. So those of you, if you're just trying to unmute, then raise your hand and I will give you kind of a permission to unmute yourself and you can ask those questions, but also check and make sure that you've accepted the recording permission.
Perfect.
Before I go to George, Coley, Nina, and anyone else that has a question, Joe Thomas chatted in a question and he asked, has anyone ever heard of the MIT study on inside sales agents? If it's the study that I'm thinking about, it was done many, many years ago before COVID. Really important that you guys know that this was before COVID. And it said that the best time to call was between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. or 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. Okay. And it showed some really good statistics that showed the difference in calling in those time windows. And they did talk about inside sales agents at that time. I don't see that. I don't see that. Joe, I see your chat. I'll find you on here and I'll give you a unmute permission in a minute. Um, I, I don't see that that study has the same relevance that it did before COVID. We've got a lot of people working at home. Yes, there are fewer people answering the phone these days. So I just don't think if it's a study from before, let's say 2020, I wouldn't put all my eggs in that basket. Okay. I think that people are answering the phone at a lot different times than they used to. And yes, fewer people are answering the phone. That's why you need a lot of different ways of communicating and reaching out to people and giving people an opportunity to come see you with those content assets that you guys build out. All right. And George, we'll call on you after Nina. So before Douglas, after Nina, let's go to I didn't say, I said George. George, I'm going to call on George. Joe, I'll call on you after Nina before Douglas. How can we help you today, George?
Well, I wanted to mention that last week, you folks spoke about probate cash, okay? Either last week or the week before. So I'm a realtor. I was calling expired listings, and I noticed through pictures that there was a listing. It was listed for a year and it didn't sell. But through pictures, I could see that the house needed some work. The kitchen, the stairway and flooring. But I also, when I looked up the property, it was an estate sale.
Mm-hmm.
So I called the heir, what do you call the administrator? The
Personal representative or the executor?
Yeah, personal representative. And I said, so it looks like you've been trying to sell the property for a year, but it hasn't gotten sold. And we were talking, and I said, I noticed that your property needs some work. I may be able to help you get some money to repair the property so you could get a better, so you could get it sold. So that got him interested, and I went to see him. That's how I was able to get the listing appointment.
Mm-hmm.
Because it is hard to get a listing appointment, often expired in my area. So I sat down with him and he said, well, my mom had a reverse mortgage. And I asked him, how old are you now? He said he's 67, so he qualifies for a reverse mortgage as well. His mom passed away. He might be able to refinance the property in his name with another reverse mortgage. But, like I said, the property needs a roof. Speaking of them, it needs a roof. It needs, so I called Chris at Probate Cash, very, very professional. I told him it was through you, through all the leads. He said, oh, yes. So it looks like he may not be able to qualify him because, he would have to do a reverse mortgage and that may not work out. But I spoke with him today and we were going through some options on how, what to do for him not to lose the property, because apparently the reverse mortgage says, hey, I want the property. He's giving him 90 days to resolve the issue. So
Is there equity?
Yes, there is equity. There is
Okay.
equity. He owes like 300,000, and the property may be worth like 650. He had it listed for 750, but with the condition of the property, it's not going to sell for 750. It was listed for years now.
Well,
So
George, I think everybody should hear that loud and clear. Probate cash got you through the door.
yes, sir.
So use that tool. Use every tool at your disposal to get through the door.
Exactly.
But it sounds like to me, like this person needs a cash offer because they've waited so
Yeah.
long, they're down to crunch time. So that
Exactly.
probably tap into investors in your, area that buy
Yeah.
houses and be like, hey, I'm gonna lay 3 offers in front of you. You
Yeah.
choose the best one.
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. I mean, if one of you folks wants to put an offer on it, let me know. I haven't listed the property yet, but speaking with him today, we came to the conclusion, look, your best bet is to sell the property. He wanted to keep it, but he can't. He can't refinance it because he doesn't have a job. The property needs work, so the reverse mortgage company, they may not give him the loan. So his best option is to sell the property. But my main message is that if not because I mentioned, probate cash, I wouldn't have gone through the door
Mm-hmm.
to begin with. So I may have a listing or a sale even before I list it because and he said, George, something about you told me to meet with you. I guess it was the way you were speaking to me. And you're the only guy who really wanted to help me out, he said. Yeah, I really did. I really wanted to get the probate cash. And that created confidence in that I want to help the guy. And I'm not just after him to make a commission. I really want to help the guy. And that's what got me through the door.
Hey,
Awesome.
George, it's great that you did that, and I'm excited about that. One of the things that I wanted to talk a bit about today was, in fact, the cash advance program. And I was actually on the phone with them this morning because we talk to them every other week or two just to kind of see how it's
Yeah.
going, how many folks are in process, what
Yeah.
we can do to help and all of that. And I want to make a couple of quick points about that. When you obviously, if you aren't familiar with the program, very simply, it is a cash advance. It is an opportunity to help your folks who need money out of the property now where there is enough equity in it that there's value. And the folks at Probate Cash are quick to help if there is an ability that they can demonstrate, that the customer can demonstrate to show that the property is either in the will and they're going to inherit it, or by some other means they can secure a method of payment. It is a cash advance, not a loan, and they're real quick to draw the differentiation between the two of those. But the beauty of that is real simple, is that it's a great tool to say to anybody that you're talking to, and by the way, if you need money out of it before it gets sold, I can help you. What that looks like real quickly is you got money in your pocket. You can help them. You're willing to help them get that roof put on. You're willing to help them pay their medical bills, whatever, whether that's the intent or not. And you're not saying that, you're saying you can help them. But I also want to look at the other side of this and make it clear where this isn't necessarily a good fit as well. Because we try to, you're being educated is very helpful. And a lot of the time, the folks that are getting put in, particularly the ones that you haven't talked to, that where you have your website and they just come and blindly, fill out your app on the website. And if you don't know, if you have one of our credibility websites, we include a specific page on that allows them to complete the data through your website, automatically goes in, you get credit for it. And if the loan closes, you would earn a commission, not insubstantial, by the way, from the folks at Probate Cash. The same thing is true on our website real quickly. If you went to alltheleads.com/cash advance, you may also fill that form out, list yourself as the person that would receive credit for it and earn that commission. Otherwise, if it didn't come from one of those, you're not going to earn a commission on it. However, where they can't help is oftentimes people come there almost as a last resort. They've gone to payday loan companies. They've gone anywhere in the world they can go get this done, and they really don't have any provable tie to that property. So it's always helpful when you're talking to people to dig a little bit and make sure that there is an opportunity to do it. And there's nothing wrong with you kind of digging in a little bit. Don't ever put yourself in a position of acting like a loan officer and making any kind of commitments or anything else, because that's not what you're doing, and you'd be making a violation to do that. But do ask enough questions to make sure that you're not missetting their expectations, because the flip side to what George is doing, he did a wonderful job with this. The flip side of that is to misset their expectations and think, oh, you need to work with me, I can help you, and you can't do anything for them at all because they're so upside down and they've been trying to borrow money all over the place. So it's a wonderful tool and one of the best ways, as Ken said, to get in the door. It should be in every presentation that you make to people in probate, because oftentimes they think that's going to sit there for 12 months and they can't do anything about it until it sells. Well, with the cash advance program, you can do something about it, not overnight, but within a few days. As long as the provability is there, you can put money in their hands quick. And man, does that turn the corner for them. So absolutely use that. And I go ahead. You were going to say something, buddy.
Yeah. By the way, when I was at the appointment, I called Chris at Probate Cash. He answered the phone, and he did the application for the guy right there as in 5 minutes. And he gave him an answer 2 days after, which was today. So I saw the guy on Tuesday, yesterday and today he had his answer. Well, we would need the property to be listed in order for us to be able to do that, because we can't do it the other way around. So he got an answer right away, whether yes or no. But and it was very, it was very helpful. Put it that way.
Well, they're on your side. They're the folks at Probate Cash are strictly on your side all the time. They are very keenly aware of where their business is coming from. They appreciate the fact that we've established this relationship with them, and they love our customers because we feed them a regular, steady feed of people. A lot of our folks have done this. We've literally sent them hundreds of applications, and they've closed a lot of business. So, they're excited about that, as are we, and their response time is very quick, like you said. Just in this case, let me ask you a quick question. Does this person that you're talking to, does he have, is it his property? Is he the one that's going to sell it? Is it his?
Well, it's in the estate, and he's the estate administrator, or the representative.
Are there
And
other heirs?
yes, there's two others. The problem he's having are his siblings, that they're on drugs. One got arrested for drugs, and the other one is, heavens knows where, she's on drugs also. So he's the only one who's sane. He's got his own attorney, which Chris was able to, get the case number, and the case number had who the attorney was, and he made everything, the whole process, he saw it was legal, and and the customer was impressed. He was very impressed because Chris did the application. The guy signed it on his email, and Chris, with the case number, he even found who the attorney was and all that. So it was very interesting.
Where is the property? What town are you in, bud?
It's in Dade County, Miami-Dade.
Okay. Because I'm going to talk to them later today. I'll see if there's anything else we can suggest to them to see if we can help you even more. I'll give them a buzz back after the call and see if I can help at all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Hey,
you, sir.
George, this might be a dumb question, but I think I heard you say the property would have to be listed. The obvious question is, why can't you list it?
Well, no, we just spoke about that 10 minutes before I came into this webinar.
So if you listed
he said if I'm going to list it, I'm definitely. He says he's got to speak to his attorney. He said, well, my brother may need to get his own attorney. I said, no, the attorney is not your attorney, he's the attorney for the estate. And the attorney's job is to make sure everybody gets paid, the way they're supposed to. If your brother hires an attorney, guess what? There's going to be another attorney cost. So, I mentioned that to him, and he said, if I'm going to list it, I'm definitely going to call you, he said. So,
but if you listed it, did I hear you say that it might be eligible for the cash advance?
Yes, it would be eligible. Yeah. Now
that solves the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Now the problem is that time. It's got to be sold before the 90 days. So it may be just better for him to just sell it.
Yeah, George, it really sounds like you should get the listing agreement in place. That way you're protected. And then again, find investors and potentially double end it. Be like, give me a week. let me get you some cash offers, see if anything's acceptable to you, and if not, then put it on the market.
On the market. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Jim and I will reach out to you
You don't
after
have
the
to wait
call. I
for the
think we might be
brother.
able to help you.
Brother,
Yeah.
if he's the PR and he has the authority via the docket and court case, his attorney should be able to tell him that he can, in fact, put it on the market and accept offers and sign a sales agreement to sell that property if
Yeah.
he is in fact the PR.
Yeah,
So-
well, it was listed for a year.
Oh,
And
well,
it didn't sell. That's how I found out about this guy, because I noticed it was listed, and through the pictures, I noticed that the property needs to repairs. So it was listed for a year, it just didn't sell. It was listed at the right price, you know.
there may be a question about how if there's profit, how that gets split up between the heirs. That's different than, and that
Yeah.
does affect the cash advance, but it certainly doesn't affect your ability to get it on the market and get it sold.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Good job.
give advice as well.
You might want to also make sure that everybody's reasonable at this point, right? Because if they were unreasonable for a year, you know, you might want to find out now, like, here's what I think I can sell it for. Maybe 75 cents on the dollar, depending on how beat up it is, possibly minus repairs. And get them an X sheet and be like, hey, if I can get you this type of offer, is everybody on board at this point? Because you're going to lose the property. You know, but
It's something, not nothing.
That's
yeah.
what I told him. I told him.
And you could potentially facilitate a meeting between your PR that you're talking to and the other two heirs, and, you know, bring them, even if, who cares if the guy's on drugs or not, have a quick sit down meeting with them at the attorney's office and put an agreement in place between them to, you know, help decide what would be done with assets, if any, and get all this done at one time. Now you're his hero.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
offer to do that, offer to mediate. There's nothing wrong with doing it. Even if you haven't done it before, you're not doing it. Put it to the attorney. You're just facilitating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All
Hey,
right.
George, I won't kid you about this forever, but you've come a long way, brother. You had a magazine with our ad on your desk for 4 years. And then about a month ago, you came on the call, and you've already done the best job of using the cash advance of any story I've heard. So
Well,
way to take action quickly.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, it's a blessing that you guys are doing this, because I'll be honest with you, I when I first got into looking at the meetings, that made me realize that I didn't know that I didn't know. And then when I started looking at the meetings, now I know that I don't know. You know, before I didn't know that I didn't. Now I know that I don't know. And now I'm gonna get the leads. I'm gonna get with Justin later, and I'm gonna start doing the trainings and the letters, because I really had no idea how this worked. I mean, I've been a realtor for 3 probates in the past. I just listed the properties and sold them. But I didn't know what really went on behind the scenes, so thanks to you folks for putting these webinars together, because, they're really instructional. I mean, now I know about probate cash. Now I know what a probate is. I didn't even know what a probate was. I've sold 3 listings before, but I had no idea what this was, so it thanks to you guys,
Well, if people are watching, give us a like on this video, because this can be life-changing if you tap into this. I mean, there's a wealth of knowledge here. Even when I talk to people, I have 18 years in the business, but I say get on the website or get on the podcast, because then you have 3 other coaches, so you can figure out whose advice you want to take. But I commend you, George, for taking action, but also sharing it, right? Because when you get on here and ask your questions, then immediately you know how to take the appropriate action to get the deal done.
Yep.
By the way, I meant to say Jordan. I may have said Justin, but Jordan is the name I meant to say.
I knew who you meant. No problem. Thank you.
All
Bruce,
right,
thank you, buddy. We got 3 other people patiently waiting.
Yeah, we've got 5 people patiently waiting. We got 12 minutes. Coley, then Nina, Then Joe, if you can unmute yourself, I'll call on you. Then Douglas. Then I've got I think Bryant had some questions. I don't know if we're going to be able to get to everybody, but we're going to try. Let's go to
We can go a
Coley
little
first.
bit. We can probably go a little bit over. Are you available if we need to or not?
I got to fly to Thailand soon, so I don't have a whole lot of extra
Let's
time
go.
today.
Go ahead,
Talk
Coley.
quick. Go.
Okay, I'll be brief. So I was looking at the court records and I saw a few leads that said spousal petition. So I was wondering if those are still viable because I was looking at one lead and then it went from active to close to active and it switched to spousal petition. So are those still viable or should I
What
just leave them
it
alone?
switched to what petition?
Spousal? So like the
Oh,
spouse
spousal.
of the decedent.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely, it's still viable. Just because it comes out of probate, especially the property, just because it comes out does not mean it's not going to be sold.
Mhm.
Okay, so that lead is absolutely 110% still viable. It might fall out of the case might fall out of probate, or the house might get carved out, but that's even better. We don't know. I mean, obviously, if there's a spouse, then they might be planning to keep the house. But if they're elderly, the family might start chirping in their ear, "No, you need to move here to Florida with us," or "Hey, we need to do some assisted living with you." You don't know what's going to happen. So yes, still viable. Call them.
Thanks.
Yeah, awesome. You good?
He's
Okay.
muted, but we're good.
All right. Nina. Thanks for being so patient with us.
No worries. Okay, quick question actually. So in the letters that all the leads has, and I think they're very good. However, I have one concern, and that is offering a very intensive suite of services that seems to me to be a big time consumer management wise. So how do you manage that?
Two ways. Number one is actually there's only one way to manage two ways to manage it. One way I manage it, but there's really two thoughts that I have on this suite of services. Number one, people that don't know, like, and trust you probably aren't going to take you up on the suite of services. I've in years haven't had anyone call and go, "Hey, I want everything that you just listed off right there." Normally they call and they go, "Hey, I need an estate sale." That's one of 10 things. I need an estate sale. So I manage an estate sale. I don't manage it, but I turn them over to someone. So it's really highly unlikely that you're going to end up falling into needing to do all these things. They'll kind of pick like a menu, one or two things that they need. But the reality is, because they don't know, like, and trust you, they don't know you yet. Those offers are primarily there to make you stand out. You're different from the person that says, "Sorry, so-and-so died, sell me the house." You're different. Okay. It makes you more likable. I will normally back my way in to doing a couple of extra services for people, but it's not because they normally call me asking for them. So I want you to just realize that you're not going to get asked to do everything that you're offering. Okay.
And Bruce, I would even say a majority of the people don't use any of them.
Right.
They really don't. I just want to sell the house.
I would
Period.
also look at it this way: if you do extra services, so what? I mean, they said people were only moving every 5 or 7 years. Now it's going to be longer with low interest rates. So you could call your past client database for 10 years, waiting for that person to move, or you could do some extra services for this person and then potentially get paid a brokerage fee. Or many times I get 3.5% and we listed for 2.5. So, the extra time you spend doing the extra services, in my mind, it's like a no-brainer every single time. Like I'm all about it. Like I want to get in action. I want to get a deal and I want to help people.
Right.
Nina, is your question more to, though, how do you recruit those people? How do you get them on your team and all of that? Or was it a concern about having?
No, it was the time involved in managing them. I mean, sure, I think, you've gone over some techniques for finding those people and interviewing them and recruiting them, which is very helpful. But, I could see somebody who wanted 3 or 4 of those services I could certainly, so I softened the language to coordinate, not manage.
Mhm.
Yeah, and
Because,
the
you
other
know,
thing is,
that means I'll introduce you to and good
Yeah.
luck.
yeah, and the
keep,
reality
keep
is that you don't have to have all of those in your quiver the day that you start. And what I mean by that is,
Hmm.
if you look at that list of people that we recommend that you have, if you need one of those people and somebody says, I'm looking for an estate sale company and you've not yet gone out to recruit that person, well, oh, great, that's the key to getting this person. That's super. I'll put you in touch with them. I'll get back to you about that. Now you've got a reason to go out and do it. Plus, you have a customer in hand. That's the easiest way to recruit that provider. So if it's an estate
Mhm.
sale company, if it's a clean out crew, if it's any of those things, it's the
Mhm.
best way to do that is with a customer in hand. So don't think that you've got to have all those people that, are your best friends and you go to lunch with them before you ever put that out there for people. Because you can certainly find them, and certainly more importantly, again, remember the very easiest way is with an opportunity to take them a customer by the hand, and you're everybody's hero at that point.
Yep.
I
So
mean, Bruce calls it a concierge. When you think of a
yeah.
concierge at a hotel, they don't walk you down to the restaurant and cook you dinner. They don't take you to the show.
Mhm.
They just make a phone call. They introduce you to somebody and let them do the work.
Yeah.
That's really all you do is make the
All
introduction.
right.
And if
Yeah.
you want to really save yourself some time, hire the concierge level service out. So you could either hire for your team or you could go to someone that already offers this kind of service. So when I go to a house and I pick out 15 things that I'm going to do for someone to win their business. So it's 15 things beyond putting their house on the market at $499. And I'll say, I'll get the house painted. I'll get the lights changed out. I'll haul this stuff off to the dump. I leave. I call my concierge service provider that already runs a business like this. And I say, 123 Main Street. Here's the contact. Here's her number. Here's 10 things that I need to coordinate. She has my list. She makes it all happen. Her runners meet the contractors there, meets the locksmith, meets and gets bids. I'm not doing those. So she's doing it as an extension of my business. And that's her separate business. So you could hire these things out as well. I've hired them out. I don't spend much time beyond the initial consultation saying what I want to take care of for the person. And then I make a call and that person that I call handles everything for me.
Yeah.
So I want to take care of it implies what? Just
Implies that someone
make,
that I have hired. Okay. I've paid, I typically buy 10 to 20 hours at a time of my concierge service. So, $400 for me gets me all of these services, bids and quotes lined up. Now, those vendors still need to be paid, but my concierge person is going to arrange the best price with the highest level service provider. And then the family, she's going to talk to the family and they're going to choose who they want, but she's coordinated all the bids and all the prices and met the contractors there and had the landscaper go cut the grass. And so when I say I'm going to take care of it, my team's going to take care of that. She happens to be one of my trusted partners on my team. She's not even on my staff. She's a partner. So I'll take care of it. And if sometimes it means we're just going to introduce you, and sometimes it means our team will coordinate the bids for that and help you choose the best provider.
And you're only using it when you need it. You don't do it on every listing.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
Right, but the more often you do it, the more efficient you'll get at doing it. I mean, right now,
like
probably
everything.
haven't done it yet, you're more concerned, but after you do 3 or 4 or 5, then you're like, you'll welcome those because again, the time you spend is well worth it.
Yep.
For the return.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nina. Thank you. So, Joe has graciously said he can speak next week. If we have time, I'll call on you. I want to go to Douglas, and then Bryant is somewhere here. Bryant, I don't think you saw raise your hand. I'm going to try to find you and let you go after Douglas. Douglas, go ahead.
Thank you. And first of all, I'd like to start by George, who was on earlier. George, thank you for your contribution today. I learned a lot. Thank you very much. And your tonality and your presence, you're right, you're different than most agents, much more approachable. much more accessible. So thank you for your contribution.
Mhm.
Okay, couple of wins and then a question. Remember that property I had where I found that woman that inherited her parents' property for 160 townhomes?
Yep.
I did a Zoom meeting with Department of Planning and Development, and I had 5 of them on the call, and I was selling her on her great situation, but the fact that she doesn't have a lot of money and she's, she can't really move forward. Well, she has about a 20-acre piece of property, and about 17 of the acres are surrounded by road. The Department of Planning and Development called me back 2 weeks later and said that they would pay for the landfill and they would pay for building a sidewalk around the entire property.
Wow. Okay.
They're going to cover the cost.
Yeah. Incredible.
I know, it's
Yeah.
so incredible. Oh, it's just so exciting. Anyway, thank you for the idea, because I wouldn't have reached out to them, but I didn't expect this kind of a return. It's just, and she's in heaven right now because she can just continue taking care of her grandchildren like she loves to do.
Amazing.
Doug, you have this
Awesome.
all under contract now?
Yes.
Good, good.
Sweet.
That's
The power of thinking big, right?
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes you never think of it because you're thinking too small. Again, like when I get my leads, I see somebody's got 150 properties. Before probate, that would be out of my wildest dreams to be able to pick up the phone and contact somebody that's got 150 properties that they just inherited. So, I mean, yeah, it's great. You got out of your comfort zone and you're thinking bigger, and that's why you're getting bigger and better results. That's amazing.
Love it.
super.
What question, Douglas? Ask your question. You're back on mute. You can unmute yourself.
And
then
it's
Emily.
I just took a new listing. It's a 4,500 square foot, beautiful waterfront Puget Sound home. And it's a probate, and it's worth a fortune, and we're under contract.
Ah,
So,
outstanding.
oh God, tell me about it. The house is just a miracle. And the story behind it, the gentleman married into the Whittier family, which is one of the richest, wealthiest oil families in the world. And he and his wife built this gorgeous dream home so they could spend the rest of their life there. And she recently passed away.
Mm.
And so he doesn't want to live there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a dream. It's probably the coolest listing I've ever had.
That's awesome, buddy. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey,
Okay.
so for the sake of time, guys, because we're a
Question.
little bit over, Douglas, you had a question, and then I want to go to Emily real quick.
Done. I think he was done, Bruce.
Okay. Okay. All right. Got it. Emily.
I think you unmute yourself, Doug, if you got a question.
Just a quick
I got
question.
Emily next. Go
Hello?
ahead. Go ahead. You're good. How can we help you?
A quick question on this probate cash. So if somebody does that to make improvements, then they sell the property. I suppose that they just would be able to pay that back when they sell it, or
They pay it back when the estate settles. So they don't
Okay.
have to sell the house as long as they have a path and a plan provable that they are going to pay the cash advance back. So if there's $1 million liquid sitting in the estate's bank account and that's their access to pay it back, great. Or if selling the house is a requirement to pay it back, then they could use it to make their repairs.
okay.
So they're going to get their money, and then when the estate closes,
based on an event. That event
Mhm.
could be, depending on how they advance it, it could be the sale of the property. It could be something else that is an event along the way that generates enough cash to pay back the advance. And they do there are lots of different ways they can attach things to make that advance payable. And they put a legal agreement together to do that. But they don't specifically have to be as a part of the proceeds of sale. But if necessary, they'll do it, and they can even attach that to the HUD or whatever they're doing. But it's not a loan, it's an advance. So there are lots of different conditions that apply that would be different than a loan.
Yep. Awesome. All right. So guys, we are a little bit over time. I would normally be good to stay a little bit long. I can't today though. So Jim.
All right. Well, Bruce, you have an amazing time in Thailand. I think I may have a really special guest next week that may come on the call. I'll tease that a little bit. Just somebody who's had some amazing success. They won't take your place. We'll be thinking of you, but have a great time, a great vacation. I want to thank all of you for being here today. I want to particularly thank George and TJ and Coley and Nina and Doug and everybody who actively participated. We had some really good ideas on this call, guys. As I always do, I challenge you to take one idea that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share your results with the group. Have a great week, guys. Same time next Thursday. Take care.
Thumbs up.
What's that? Thumbs up.
Give us
Okay.
a thumbs up on this video.
Absolutely. Take care, guys. Thanks.